Do you think if you were married, you would be able to do the things that you're doing?
To be fair, no. No.
Is that why you're staying away from it?
I'm not staying away from marriage.
What's your perception on it?
I believe that marriage is a good thing if it's good.
If it's a good marriage.
If it's a good marriage, it's an amazing thing. You find a partner that you guys align, that you have it's a proper union. You have a vision together. You trust each other. You trust the person trusts you. Like me, I always say, if I meet a guy, there are two things that I need. He needs to be kind, and I need to trust his thought process.
Nah, there's more than that. You can't.
No, those are the two things.
Khadija, you're a big woman.
No.
I was reading the bio. You work with Universal Music. You've worked with Blue Skies. And you're with Cheers Native. You're with Culture Management Group. From knowing you, what I knew was that you were into manufacturing. I mean, like the food industry. But all of a sudden, you are into music. School, did you go to school for that?
No.
So how did you end up in music?
How did I end up in music? My brother, my younger brother, is a musician, a very brilliant one.
Is he a star?
He's not a star yet. But like me, he'll be a star someday.
Hey.
So
do you want to mention his name for that?
For
us to know that.
Yeah, he's called Sis. Sis the Truth.
Okay.
Sis the Truth. He's a
How do you spell the Sis?
S-I-Z-Z.
Sis the Truth.
Yeah. He's a brilliant writer. So my brother was making music. He's been making music since I could remember, since he was like maybe 7. And he used to send his music to musicians, established musicians, to listen to it. So one day I come home, I'd gone out the day before or something, and I come home and my brother, we have conversations, long conversations into the morning till like 5 a.m. or something. So we're just talking, it was my room, we were just talking. He was telling me how he sent his music to some artist and the artist is not listening to it and he's not responding to him. I'm like, who is this artist? Show me who the person is. And when he showed it to me, it was Shaker. I mean, Lil Shaker at the time. Fortunately, when I went out the day before, I had met him. So then I told my brother, this guy, you know what, let me call him right now. So I messaged him and I said, my brother has been sending you music, you're not listening. Listen to the music. So he listens to the music, he gives feedback. So then we started to talk about music. So really, I came into the music industry because of my brother, to try and help him, because I realized that even though he was good, he didn't have the right support in the right rooms to enter. And fortunately also, Shaker was signed with BBNC, and at the time they were looking for a business manager. So I joined the team to work.
As a business manager?
Yeah. To work with Shaker, and then worked with Kojoku and some of the other artists that were signed to the label. So that's how I officially joined the music industry. That was about 10 years ago.
What were you doing as a business manager? Like how are you managing that?
So basically just almost like a business developer in any company. So you have a product, which is the music and the musician, and finding ways and means to monetize their crafts. That's what I did.
But how did they know you could do that?
Well, maybe because I can talk.
Talk your way into the job, huh?
I talk my way into the job.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess maybe because I could talk. And sometimes people think that hiring is all about credentials, but a lot of the times hiring is great, especially in an industry that's supposed to be formal, but is quite informal, very young. I'm talking 10 years ago. So it was still trying to find its foot at that time. So no one went to school to study how to manage an artist. So what you really needed was grit, intelligence, passion, drive, commitment, consistency, discipline. And for me, I've always had those traits. So
how's the journey been so far?
In It's been very interesting. It's been growth. It's been a time to reflect. I joined the industry again, like I said, at a time that it was still trying to find its foot. It was at a time where Afrobeat and African music was not as global as it is today. So having started from that time and seeing where it has grown today, and the doors that global eye has opened for all of us is very interesting.
So you started as a business manager.
Yeah.
And then what followed after that?
I mean, I was a business manager, then I was a road manager. I mean, I was a manager in general, and then I was a project manager as well. So we worked on projects like Shaker versus Q, and then there was some other one. We did Captain Hook, we did Pen and Paper. So I did a lot of projects.
Pen and Paper was with
Kojo Q
and Shaker.
Yes. So that's how I met my current business partner, Roland. We worked on that project together because at the time his team was managing, he has a media team, and his team was managing Kojo Q at the time. So because of that project, we had to work together. Okay. And so I worked there, and then AfroFuture, then AfroChella was started, and I got a call from Edward. Most people know him as Bebe. So Bebe had worked at BBNZ. He was at BBNZ at the time. So he called me and said, we are starting this. I wasn't on social media. I'm still not really on social media. So we've started this festival concert thing, and we want you to come on board. So that was 2017, before the first AfroFuture, then AfroChella. So I came on board as talent manager and just general coordinator for the concert part of the festival. At the time, it was, even though we called it a festival, really it was a concert, focused more on the music and a few crafts here and there on the field at Polo Club at the time. So I did that. Then my boss at BBNZ at the time, that's Alvin Bequin, he had good relationship with Universal, and Universal was looking for someone in Ghana, so he recommended me. So I did a number of interviews, and that's how I got the job to work at Universal Music.
Are you still with Universal Music?
No, I'm not with Universal anymore. Yes.
What did you do at Universal?
So Universal, I was the country head, and I focused on brands and sync.
You know I don't understand. You don't have to explain.
Elaborate further for us who don't know.
So again, back to being able to monetize the music and the musician. With brands and sync, it's one of the areas that musicians can make money. Brands meaning, how do we position musicians and their music to be able to help project brands in general. So let's say Coca-Cola had a campaign, a Pan-African campaign that they wanted to do, something I worked on at the time when I was at Universal. A Pan-African campaign that they wanted to do, we would recommend musicians and their music. If they wanted someone to create some specific song for it, we would recommend it. So they can come on as, say, brand ambassadors or advocates. This was before influencers was such a big thing. And then with the music part, that's where the sync comes in. So sync has to do with synchronization of the music. So you can sync music either in film, in TV, in commercials, in video games, or you can have customized music. So you can literally have an artist do a song specifically for a campaign. So that's where sync comes in. And you'd make music in multiple, you made money from it from multiple angles, from either the publishing end or the master's end. So that's what I did, really finding different ways that an artist can make music beyond performances and maybe sales of their music, either online or physical CDs.
So how do artists do that in Ghana? Like how do you think artists can make a lot of money with the information that you have right now? How do you think they can really monetize their music?
It depends on the tier of the musician and the music that you're doing. The tier, what level?
Yeah, there are levels.
Oh, of course, there are emerging talents, and then there are mid talents, and then there are flagship talents, like talents that have broken the ceilings and they're good. So depending on the level of the artist, because I come from a food science background and specifically product development background, I look at musicians and music as a product. And in as much as they're together, they're also entities on their own. And when I take a product, I look at what are you selling, or what is a problem that you're trying to solve? Who is your target audience? Where do they exist? Or how do you connect to them? And how do you continuously show up to meet this target audience? So if you are, majority of artists in this part of the world make money, majority of their money from their live performances, because with that, an artist can go from charging 10,000 CDs to charging 50,000 CDs in 2 months. So the trajectory for that could be very fast. And then some people, depending on how big the music is and the kind of collaborations they are making, they can have like really good streaming numbers, especially if their numbers are coming from external and not on the continent. So depending on the level of the artist, they can make music from sync. More emerging artists can make music from sync if they're probably signed to, let's say, an agency, or they have a good, their publishing is correctly represented, so they have a publishing agent that represents them, because with that you get a lot of briefs. So when I was at Universal, we'll get a lot of briefs that would come. Let's say Netflix has a show and they're looking for this type of music, and then out of our catalog that we control, we'll send them the music that we think will fit the scenes and whatever. So depending on the part of the music they want to use, either the lyrics or the instrumentals or both, how long they are going to use it, all that to determine how much you're going to make. So there's a lot of emerging artists that if they have good publishers, they are automatically getting some sync opportunities that they are pushed for.
Who's a publisher? Okay.
So the music is in 2 parts.
Yeah.
In terms of the ownership of the music. So you have the master's part and you have the publishing part. The master's part typically is controlled by the person that, quote unquote, pays for the music to be recorded. So it speaks to the original recording of the music. The publishing part of the music speaks to the contributor to the music, meaning that the person who contributes to the actual making of the music, which is composition, production, writing, instrumentation, all those falls under the people that own the publishing part of that. For you to be able to collect your publishing rights, ideally you should be signed to a publisher. Sometimes, depending on the level, there are institutions that you can go online, you upload your music. First, you have to register the music so that it has a unique identity, so that wherever it's played, on radio, in the streets, in the pub, in anything, someone does a YouTube content and they put your music under it or something, it can be tracked because you've registered the song. Monies that are made from that can now come to you. So when you have a PRO, which is like usually what the publishing agency is, they will collect globally that amount of money that is made from the playing of the music, and then it will be given to the artist or the person that owns the publishing of the music.
So how about record labeling? Is that something that is still ongoing, or is it something that's dying, or?
I don't think record labels would ever die. They control the music industry. The top 3 record labels are Universal, Sony, and Warner. And now we have the likes of Empire that are quickly rising, and some other ones. So record labels are essential. Also because the music industry is a very capital intensive industry. And you need people to always invest in the music. And we have record labels that do so. So they're always here.
They're always there. But some people advise against record labeling because they give you some incentive upfront, and there's a backlash when you're reaping your royalties and stuff like that. It's something that is known out there. But what's your take on
like any business, an investor is there to recoup the money that they make.
True.
So that's why it's important that as any person that is in the music industry, irrespective of the area that you're at, you know the business that you're doing. You understand the business that you're doing. And you should be able to also weigh your value at every point in any conversation. So for me, I don't have a problem with an artist signing to a label, so far as they understand their position or the value in the conversation they are having, the leverage that they have, and how they intend to continue to increase their leverage in the conversation. I have a manufacturing company, right? If I'm looking for investors, I need to know where I'm at. I need to know my value proposition. I need to know what is the value of the company as it sits right now. So if I'm looking for an amount of money, if I say I want $1 million to be invested into my company, I need to be able to know what is the value of the company as it sits right now. If I collect $1 million and the company is worth $1 million, it means I will not own any part of the company. Right? So that's it. So when you're looking for someone to invest in your music and your craft, you should be able to know where you are at in that space, what you are willing to give to get what you want. And sometimes that's where the confusion comes in, where people think that they're being taken advantage of. If you're long-term thinking, like for me, if I think long-term, I'm willing to give you this shoe for something tomorrow. I'm willing to give off a percentage of my company because I'm looking forward to see what I can get back. Again, it's about knowledge, and that's why people need to know what they're doing. They need to fully understand, and a lot of things is about context as well. Know what situation we are talking about, because for each artist, their situation is different, and each record contract or label contract is not the same. Each one is different, and as an artist, you need to be able to go into the conversation with an open mind, and especially a mind that is collaborative. And if you go into those conversations in a very collaborative way, you will bring your value to bear, and you'll see what you're getting out of it.
So you mentioned that artists get a lot of money from the shows. Mm-hmm. I had a guy send me a proposal. He wanted me to help promote his music. Mm-hmm. And he was estimating a certain amount that he's getting from streaming. Mm-hmm. But from my mind, I knew streaming doesn't pay much. Am I correct? Or
it's relative. Again, it depends on the artist. It depends on the kind of music they are making. It depends on which parts of the world they are. It depends on which parts of the world the people who are streaming them are.
He's in Ghana. I'm sure his fans will be in Ghana.
Because I know of emerging artists who make music from here. And if you look at their back end, majority of their listenership is international. It's from America, it's from Europe. No, not even Amari. Amari is not emerging. Amari is a superstar.
Now she is.
Now she's a superstar, yeah. So I'm talking about emerging artists. You see, I tell people all the time that you have to understand the kind of artist you want to be. Not everyone can be a Shatta Wale, and that's okay. So if you're not a Shatta Wale, what kind of artist are you? Once you define the kind of artist you are and the kind of music you make, then you can find where are my people and how do I continue to sell my craft and myself to them. And you find ingenious ways to continue to meet. If I know that Amufa likes what I do, where does Amufa go? What does Amufa like outside of me? How can I collaborate with the other things that Amufa likes, so that when Amufa leaves this place, he will see me here. If he goes here, he'll hear of me there. If he goes there, he will not miss me.
Yeah,
and I will not miss Amufa.
You know, like that's one of the problems I have with music. Sometimes I enjoy some music, but I'll go out and then other people are enjoying other things. And I feel like, I can't really even promote my person there because they don't really like the person.
Yes. So again, I have to always remember, where is Amufa? What does Amufa like? If I know Amufa is a fan, if I tell Amufa that, every Friday I play at this place, Amufa is going to show up if he can. So I need to understand who my audience is, what they like, where they show up at, and I need to be able to show up where they are at. If I do that, I've told people multiple times, you don't have to have millions of fans. You can have 500 people and continue to sell to them. What can you sell to them? You can sell your music, you can sell merch, you can sell live, you can sell so many things to those same 100 people or those same 500 people. And you'll most likely be making more money than some other person.
So you got all this information from working with Universal?
I got all this information from working all these years.
Not just with Universal.
Not just with Universal.
So from Universal, then you went to a culture management group. That's like
so
AfroFuture.
culture management with AfroFuture. So I was actually with AfroFuture before I started my job. I think it was the same year or a year after.
That means you were like three different.
Yes.
You're working three different things at the same time.
Yes, I worked all the time.
But how do you
balance
like
it?
that the like multitasking bit? Like how can you have three jobs?
How do you balance
How
it?
do you balance it?
I think that women, we have superpowers.
Yeah, Mr. Mabe said that.
I think we have superpowers, and I think that in as much as we all have 24 hours in a day, we can really leverage our 24 hours. I think that sometimes we spend our time daydreaming more than actually doing.
Daydreaming is nice, huh?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time daydreaming rather than actually doing it. I've always multitasked. I've always done multiple things because I've always felt that there was so much more in me to give. And so far as I could do it, I'm going to do it. I was an on-air personality at TV Africa. I was a TV host. And I got a call randomly on a day. I got a call and the person said, "Oh, are you Khadija?" I said, "Yes." The person said, "Are you a nutritionist?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Can you do TV?" I said, "Yes." And then they said, "Come for a meeting." So I went for a meeting the next day. It was a board, Shelley Fimpoman. So I think Echo at the time was the head. It was just a bunch of really great people in the film space and the TV space, sitting at this long table. And they asked me a number of questions. Am I camera shy? I said no. Can I do this? Can I do that? I said yes. The last question they asked me is that, are you fun? I said no, but I can be. And then I got the job. And when I got the job, I had never done live TV before. I had done radio shows. I had done some TV appearances because I used to do nutrition talks and nutrition diets and stuff like that. So I worked with banks and TV and radio. But I hadn't done live TV. And when I got the job, I did training with someone that's very great at what he does. So he taught me. I did training for like 3 weeks, every day, and non-stop. And he told me after the training, he said that the first day he gave me an assignment, he said I should go and write something down. And when I brought it the next day, he was shocked because he didn't think I'll do it. But the thing is, I don't know it. I've not done this job before, so I have to take it serious. And if I have an opportunity to learn from one of the best, I'm going to learn.
Right.
So I trained and I learned and I did it. And I think I was good at it till I didn't do it again. So for me, so far as I have health, I have time, I have the energy, and I feel that there's value in it for me and for whoever it is that is asking for me to do it, I'm going to do it.
So, Khadija, you've been a shark for just for background information. We're all in the University of Ghana together.
Yeah.
And at the time, we know say Khadija be shark.
Yeah, guys,
I've been there for a long time. Khadija be shark.
Were you engaged here?
Yeah, I was engaged.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah. You in Bushi?
Also in
Oh, no. I was not a shark. Shit, I went to Gayhead. You know who the sharks are. I'm not in part.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I were to guess at the time, I would have probably tipped you for the sciences.
Yeah.
I mean, you were doing nutrition and all of that.
I studied nutrition. I studied biomedical engineering. No, I studied it was called biomathematical science or something. So I did biochemistry, physics. I did physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. And then I went ahead to do nutrition and food science.
Yeah. And now you find yourself in the music space, manufacturing space.
Yeah. I find myself in the music space, but I've worked in food from the time I graduated. Thankfully, I was one of the first people from my class to get a job right after school. I got a job at Blue Skies. I lived in Dansuma, and the job was around in Sawam, Dobro in Sawam. My mom was quite upset. She said, it's too far. You're not going to go. Why are you going to go? And then the next morning I went to her. I said, Mommy, you know what? I listen to everything you say. I always want to make you happy. But unless you have a better reason than it's too far, I'm taking the job.
Yeah.
So then I worked at Blue Skies. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had because it enlightened me, it opened my mind. It showed me the possibilities because we were producing fresh cut fruit salads from Ghana and exporting it on a daily basis to countries like France, to the UK, to Sweden, and this was going direct to stores. So the fruit salad will leave Accra and by tomorrow is on the shelves in Marks and Spencer in the UK. On the shelves. Yeah, the logistics was crazy. So it was mind-blowing. It was I really appreciate that experience.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from that. And then after Blue Skies, I was working in nutrition because I was working in giving nutrition diets and doing media. And then I worked in distribution as well. I worked with GlaxoSmithKline doing distribution through an agency, of course, not with Glasgow themselves. And we distributed a lot. And then I started manufacturing after that. So I've always worked in the food space. I actually ran the canteen for Joyce Abibio for a while. So
the fashion, that's the
the fashion school. Yes, I used to
yeah.
run the canteen in Joyce Abibio fashion at Cantonments.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've always worked in food.
Is it that you have connections or because I'm always mentioning somebody made a call to you?
Because apparently getting a job in Ghana is very difficult.
But you always
Khadijat seems to be
always like that they call her. Or,
multitasking.
like how do you think you're able to get all these opportunities?
I think that I have favor. That I believe. I believe that I'm blessed. I think that God has a plan for me. So I have a lot of.
You believe it to be true.
I believe that I have favor. That one day.
Haven't you had any setbacks in your life?
When it comes to, I don't know how to take no for an answer. So even the one that looks like it's not going to happen, it will happen. Yeah. I don't know how to take no.
What personal trait do you say accounts for that?
I think that it's multiple things. Like my father played a huge role because my father, I just needed to tell him that I wanted to go to the moon. He would say, okay.
You can
When I finished secondary school, my mother, so I used to act. I used to act from like when I was in Alpha Beta. Yeah, I used to act. When I was in Alpha Beta, yeah, and speaking about Alpha Beta, I think one of the things as well is Alpha Beta itself. So backstory, I was in Achimota School, primary till like I think class 3 or so. And the extracurricular activity I did, I joined the Scouts. So in Achimota School was boys and girls and they were all in the Scouts. And I picked up a lot of traits there, discipline, consistency, confidence. I picked up a lot from there. So when I left and I went to Alpha Beta, that week they said, oh, we have extracurricular day. I think it was on Wednesdays or something. So that day came, they're like, which club do you want to join? And I said, Scouts. And they said, oh, there's Girls Guide. The Scouts here is only boys in it. Yeah. And I said, well, that's what I want to join. So they take me to the headmistress, Mrs. Ejipon, and she's like, they tell her that, oh, she said she wants to join the Scouts. And she said, sure, she should join. So that's how I was the only girl in the Scouts. And right now, the Scouts in Alpha Beta is majority girls.
Hey.
So I think that having opportunities like that, like people just, you saying the craziest thing and them saying, okay, let's get it done. So my father, if I told him I wanted to go to the moon, he would say when, how, okay, let's figure it out. That was it. Like my mom saw an audition for an acting thing. It was, what was it called? It was some next movie star. So I was sleeping, she comes into my room, she said, oh, I've seen this audition, you should go. And it was near my father's house. My father lived at Laboni. So I called my dad. Daddy, there's this audition that mommy said I should come to. So my dad comes to pick me in Dansuma. He lived at Laboni. He comes to pick me in Dansuma and takes me. It was Anyaneba. He takes me there. When we got there, it was a long queue, lots of people. I think that's the first time I actually questioned myself because there were so many people. And I said, hey, Daddy, there's plenty of people here. So why? Are you afraid? Can't you do it? Oh, go and do it. So like things like that, like no matter how crazy it was, all the people around me always made it seem like I was capable and I was going to be able to do it. And for that reason, I built this way of we'll get it done no matter how. And I think for that, it makes people trust me. So whenever they think of something and they think that I can do it, they just call me, and if I can, I say yes.
So the belief your parents had in you influence how you believe in, how much you believe in yourself?
I believe so.
You believe so?
Yeah. And the opportunities that they gave, like they didn't just believe in me just so that they want me to shut up and go and sleep. And then they didn't follow through. My dad would follow through. If you told him you wanted to do something, he would call you the next day. I thought you said you were going to do this. Yeah, he will follow through.
So how important do you think self-belief is?
I think it's crucial.
To becoming whoever you want to be?
I think it's crucial. But I also think that it's also in knowing yourself.
Yeah.
To believe in yourself, you have to know yourself. Knowing your capabilities, even knowing your shortcomings. It makes you comfortable and grounded in who you are. And when you're comfortable with yourself, you can really believe in yourself.
How do you get to know yourself? For you personally?
For me personally...
How did you get to know yourself?
I think it's been...
Or do you know yourself?
I believe that I know myself to an extent, at least to where I am today. I will change, or I might change. I've just been lucky that in all my changing, I haven't changed so much. I mean, you know me from a long time ago. Like my changing is not surprising. Like I haven't really veered away too much.
Do you even need to change? You know, I think some people need to change, maybe to get to where they want to be. But it's like you don't need to.
I haven't had. I mean, there are parts of me that I need to change. I'm quite impatient, so that I have to work on. But
is growing changing?
Growing could be changed.
Yeah, so in order to grow, there should be a little bit of change.
Is that really change, or is it like improvement? Like an upgrade, you know? It's like I have a phone operating system. I upgraded. I've not changed the phone. I just, you know. Yeah,
but it's changed sometimes because it's not what it was. It's a version of it. So it's not a whole 180 that you've done, but there's a version of it, so it's not the same as what it was. So there's some level of change to that. And I think that as human beings, we need to steady ourselves as we are growing. When we are younger, yes, it's free for all, and you're just kind of figuring it out and allowing yourselves to make mistakes and all that. But as we grow, we need to take our time, pace ourselves, catch ourselves in our strengths and our weaknesses, and try to improve and evolve in a way that is not only beneficial to yourself, but beneficial to the people around you, especially.
But you mentioned that you're impatient and you're trying to change. And isn't that the reason why you are where you are today? I think impatience also means maybe you want like a certain result, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, aren't you concerned that when you change that thing about you, you may also affect, like, have unintended consequences?
Well, there are risks involved in whatever move you want to make in life, and you just have to kind of weigh what's the benefit of the move you want to make. For me, I feel like the advantage of being older and being more self-aware is that even in making changes, you should be able to almost control, because you should be able to control yourself.
Should.
Yes, you should. Right?
Should. But can it be done? Is it done? You know, it should be done, but is it done? How easy is it? I mean,
once in a while you slip. But once in a while you slip as human. But I think that majority of it, if you are aware, you should be able to control how much of the results you want to see. So like you're saying, impatience has played a huge role in where I've gotten to, because it's allowed people to understand, to see from jump, this is this person you're dealing with, this is how they are, this is how it's going to be.
You have to get it done
by
this time.
Exactly. This is how it's going to be. If you can't, you can jump ship and it's okay. So that has helped. But that has also come with me meeting people that just couldn't handle it. And for that reason, I wasn't able to impact them the way I wanted to. Like I've had instances where I've met people that in hindsight, I'm like, you know what, maybe if I was a bit more, you know, patient with them and identifying that there are different types of people and how we can deal with different types of people. And for me, I feel like I'm proud of myself to be able to get to a place where I can identify that, you know what, maybe I can shift this a bit to be able to accommodate someone that has a lot of potential and that could benefit from being around me and they not being able to because they can't stand the heat. Yeah, they can't stand the heat.
Yes. But I mean, I've been following the conversation from start. You've been in the scouts where there were only boys, and I'm sure the industry you're in, majority guys.
Yeah.
You know, the music space.
Yeah, the music space. And like, I mean, how difficult has it been? Haven't you faced any stereotypes? You know, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. There's a lot of stereotypes. I mean, me, I'm a woman. I've even become big. I used to be tiny. I'm a woman. I'm tiny. Or at least I used to be tiny. I'm Muslim. And now I'm more visible because before I wasn't visibly a Muslim. Now I'm more visibly a Muslim. So there's a lot of people are curious about me. I see it more as curiosity because they just don't understand it. And I've also understood that if people don't know you, they don't know you. And they can decide to see you however they want to see you because they don't know you. And it's always an opportunity for you to show people who you are. So I've grown to not react to people's opinions of me. And I've just grown to just focus on what I came to do. But I've faced it. I've had people have said that, oh, why is she the one doing this? Is she because she's their friend? Or why they give her this opportunity? Or she's rude? Or you're emotional? Like when you tell people, then if you're a woman there, then you're emotional. When you tell someone off, then you're emotional because you're a woman. But when a man tells someone off, it's okay, it's normal. They'll say you're rude because you're not just taking you're not just cajoling to what they want to do, and you're not just taking it the way they want it. And they say you're too strict because you want things a certain type of way. But it's not like I'm bragging. When they say women have sixth sense, my own is very strong. So I know. When I say I know. And when I think about things, I think about the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. So when I tell you that, don't do this. If you do this, this and this and this is going to happen. Trust me.
But are you right all the time?
Am I?
Are you right all the time? Like that what did you come ask?
Am I right all the time?
Do you accept when you're wrong? Because nobody's right all the time.
Yeah, I think I accept when I'm wrong.
How easy is it?
How easy is it?
Especially when maybe it's about the future, you know? We are both making predictions about the future. You see it a certain way, I see it a certain way. How are you able to tell when, you know, you are wrong or right?
I think that sometimes I've also been blessed to surround myself with people that like to have dialogue. Like, it's not a screaming match. It's dialogue, it's proper data. We are looking at it, we are trying to make sense out of it. It is not, I want to be right so that you'll be wrong. It's not about that. It's not a competition. And I've been blessed to be surrounded by people like that. Like there's a guy that works with me. He's called Tara. And sometimes I go to him, maybe I'm upset about something. He'll tell me, no, don't call the person. Don't say anything. Don't do this. And this guy works for me. I listen to him. Right? Because I trust his thought process to an extent. And that's the thing with me. I like to surround myself with people that I can trust their thought process. So that when I can't catch myself, they can catch me. Or they can help me catch myself. Yes.
The people working with Khadijat, they should go and thank Tara for saving them from a whole lot of blasters.
I promise.
So you did make a statement about being more visibly Muslim now.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, is that intentional? Are you being intentional about
it's
it?
Very intentional.
Why is it? What's driving it?
It's very intentional because, first of all, it just kind of happened because I became more religious after my father passed. But I started going to I went to Ashesi for a speaking engagement, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. And after the speaking engagements, a lot of people walked up to me, young women walked up to me and they said, "Oh, I like the way you're dressed." And they were not necessarily just Muslims, it was a mixture. And they were like, "Oh, I like the way you're dressed, the way you're so modestly dressed. And we didn't think that like you can work in this kind of space and look like this." And I felt that it's necessary for diverse representation so that people, I don't exist in a black and white world. I believe in the gray and I believe in different shades of the gray. And I believe that it's necessary for people to see the nuances of the world. For a lot of people, I work for maybe a lot of staunch Muslims. I work in a space that is very ambiguous, very controversial because it's music and it surrounds itself with all sorts of other things. Yeah. So for me, it's important that I am all of me and I show all of me at any point in time, right? I am a female, I am a Muslim, I am driven, I am a builder, I want to present myself at every point, showing all sides of myself and not losing any part of it. And showing that it can coexist because I don't have any conflicts within myself.
Okay. Let me start wearing my this thing agbada and my necklace.
Just to and also encourage people.
That is good for the people trying to embrace themselves and embrace their religion and part of life because you're in spirituality and you're in an unconventional space, as you said, and it will encourage a lot more youngins to look up to you. So that is good.
And I think just in general, just people just more embracing who they are and not being embarrassed and knowing that you're a work in progress. And it's okay to show the progress as it's happening. If one day I wake up and I say I won't tie my hair again, it's my own. I can't decide I won't do it again, you understand? And it's okay.
And so, is it easy working with women in your industry, like the space you're in? Do you have a lot of women working with you or for you?
Yes, I have women working for me. I'm intentional about a few things whenever I'm doing anything. I'm intentional about showing up as a woman. I'm intentional about showing up as Ghanaian. I'm intentional about showing up as African. It's important to me. And it's important that we help have more people in the spaces that they want to be and supports them to be able to grow in those spaces. I wouldn't call it, it's not a mistake, but that's why life is very interesting. You have to give yourself time to grow and to learn. I happened to have an assistant some years ago, and I was at the festival one day. She just walks up to me. She said, "Oh, do you need help?" And at the time, I didn't have no assistant. I used to do it alone on that side. I said, "Yeah, sure. Come help me." And then she helps me, and then she automatically becomes my assistant. But then what I realized was that I was pouring into someone that wasn't necessarily interested in the field. So after, I think she had to go to school. So after she left, I made it my mission to be very particular about who I'm pouring into. I need to pour into people in spaces that they want to thrive in and they want to remain in so that we can continue to grow industry. So if it is the food processing industry or manufacturing industry, if it is the music industry or any industry I find myself, I am intentional about identifying people that truly want to be in that space so that if I pass on the knowledge that I have, it can also be passed on so that we can continue to grow.
How tough is doing business in Ghana?
It's very tough. It's very tough.
Well, all businesses that you are involved in,
yes.
Which one is easier, the manufacturing or the music?
None.
None, eh?
None.
What makes it tough? Is it funding? Is it people? Is it the terrain? Is it government aids or accessibility? What makes it tough?
All the above.
All of it.
All of it, because we are in we are in a bubbling stage in this country. Everything is about to pop.
For a long time.
For a long time. So the heat is there, so it's very hot because everything's about to. So
If you look at our road, about to finish.
I'm telling you.
About to finish what?
Into a year thing because everything's about to. So every stage, like what you said, so there's financing which is about to. There's government policies which are about to. There's people who are about to. So it's like, when are we going to get to the place where we are now taking off? So that's why it's difficult. So anyone that is at the helm of affairs of any space, they are having to pull people along, having to meet people where they are and dragging them to where you want to be so that we can all go together. So it's tough. So from policies to regulations to funding to people to capacity building, all of it is about to.
So how are you doing? How are you thriving? How is the business thriving?
She was in Boy Scout.
Yes.
Anyway.
I think it's also about purpose.
Okay.
I think that when you identify what your purpose is and you truly believe that I'm meant to be doing this thing, there's a level of there's frustration. Don't misquote me. There's frustration, but there's a level of peace that comes with the weight and comes with the struggle.
You
comes with the you don't like it, but you are accepting of it because you understand. You are accepting of the journey and whatever that comes with it because you understand that it's your purpose and it's going to get there. So when I say that, I feel like I have special grace. I feel that I have special grace. The road might not be smooth. It might be bumpy. It might be hectic. There was a day we were sitting in the factory and then it just caught fire. So our office overlooks the factory. So there's a glass so we can see what's happening in the factory. Roland and I were sitting. So he sits here, I sit here. And we are looking at the factory. We are doing work then. Before we know it, there's some electrical somethings. There's some fire. Then they go and remove all these fire extinguishers. They turn off the whole thing. We look at each other, we laugh, we go back to the work. Because we've prepared our mind and we know that every day when we wake up, there will be some problem. We will just find a way to solve it and then we move on.
I like that.
Yeah, so.
I like that.
What would you say your purpose is then? And is your purpose tied to what you do? Like the work you do?
Yeah. I've in the past, when anyone asked me what I did, I always said I was the help.
Yeah.
Because I believe that I've been given so much that I need to help more people to be able to find their own thing, be able to find their own way, or be able to come together for us to build something big. So that's what my purpose is. I believe my purpose is to find people, work with people, help them get to a place of some self-realization and self-growth that makes them have some inner peace with themselves.
Do you think you chose the purpose that was given to you?
I think that it came to me because I didn't know how to say no. So like when people always ask me, I'll go and figure it out. Then I'll go and figure it out. Then I'll help. And I don't know, I think I picked it also for my mother. My mother is very empathetic and she's very charitable. She's annoying sometimes. Like,
shout out to mommy.
She does the most. Like sometimes she'll call, you have to give this person this, you have to give this person this. She doesn't even care if you don't have. Don't worry, God will provide. It will happen, you do it. And then somehow we get it done. So my mother has always helped. Like maybe her friend's child will come to Ghana for school. These are rich people. My mother will ensure that she cooks food for this guy every weekend. The guy will come and pick it up. She's not asking for anything. She's just being nice and being helpful and being good to people. So I've also kind of picked up something like that, where I always want to be able to help someone, because I don't believe that whatever is yours is truly yours alone. I don't believe that. I believe that whatever has been given to you is for you to share. That's why someone also doesn't have.
Okay.
That's how I believe.
Balance.
It has to be balanced.
I see. So, do you think if you were married, you would be able to do the things that you're doing?
To be fair, no. No.
Is that why you're staying away from it?
I'm not staying away from marriage.
What's your perception on it?
I believe that marriage is a good thing if it's good.
If it's a good marriage.
If it's a good marriage, it's an amazing thing. You find a partner that you guys align, that you have it's a proper union. You have a vision together. You trust each other. You trust the person trusts you. Like me, I always say, if I meet a guy, there are two things that I need. He needs to be kind, and I need to trust his thought process.
Nah, there's more than that. You can't
No, those are the two things. Honestly, those are the two things. Let me tell you, trust the thought process. It encompasses a lot of
Does
things.
he have to be richer than you?
No, not even.
Okay. Because I think it's
For his-
essential for
wait.
psychological.
For him,
Yeah.
it's essential for him, his psychological.
Yeah.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because if the man is not providing as much as you, I feel it takes away something from his, how you see him. Like something slight, if it's not.
I think that it depends. There's truth to what you're saying, but it depends, because I feel like a human being, there's so much to them than what they're providing on the table in terms of financially. And I feel like if you can come together as one unit and you can build together, it can kind of merge those things. If you can cushion it, because you've come together and you are building something together. When I say that I need to trust the person's thought process, it encompasses a lot of things. All the things that you were thinking is inside that.
No, the thing I was thinking, that's nothing to do with the process.
You're talking about good in bed.
So servicing. After all that, it has to be servicing in the bedroom. Anyway.
Well, for me, I feel like it encompasses all that. The reason why I say trust is thought process is that it allows us to be mentally aligned.
Yeah.
And when we are aligned, especially with someone like me, who is very driven, I need to be able to trust the way you're thinking.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Otherwise, it won't work.
It's going to be difficult to find a guy like that.
That I trust the way he thinks.
Yeah.
Are you saying it's going to be difficult?
Yeah, because I see, I see a lot
to be aligned.
Yeah, but I see a lot of, guys who, even for them to be able to sync with their woman, it's quite difficult.
It's difficult.
Yeah, for them to be able to bond on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And also for a guy to be that intelligent. Most guys are...
It's not for you. The guy is not there. It's not for you.
You know, my dad said once.
If the guy is not there, it's not for him.
That's what I'm saying. It's very difficult to find a guy like that.
Yeah, there was a time, there was a guy I was dating, my very first boyfriend. My dad told him once, he's like, so Kofi, how do you deal with this girl? Like, how do you talk to her? How do you get on the level with her? Like, I don't know how. I understand what you're saying, but I think that there are men out there who are up to the task. We just have to find them.
And will you still be able to do?
I think that at this point, if I had gotten married earlier, maybe I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done. But I think at this point, if I did get married, I would be able to. Yeah.
Does the conversation of marriage bother you in any way?
No.
When people bring it up?
No. Okay. It doesn't bother me.
Don't you get people telling you, like, asking you to go and get married?
People get worried. Before my father died, it was one of his biggest problems in life.
Yeah.
That I wasn't married. He'll call me, say, oh, you have to get married. Like, you're too good. You have to be a mother. Like, you have to be able to impact onto someone.
Okay, yeah.
So it was his
desire.
Yeah, it really bothered him. And for me, honestly, before my dad passed, I didn't really used to think about it. But then since he passed, I'm like, you know what, this guy really wanted this thing. So maybe there's
And to fulfill that
something
dream for him.
there's something to it. So I must
So
start to consider it.
do you mind having kids without doing the whole ceremony of marriage?
No, I don't. I mind.
You mind?
I'm not doing it.
I mean, you may not be alone. I think it's just, you know, the
Yeah,
person, you haven't done a formal.
The thing about
things
marriage is
around
that
it.
it's hard. It's easy to walk in, but it's very hard to walk out of marriage.
Yeah.
It's hard to walk out of marriage. It's hard to
I mean, I
walk
think
out.
in every relationship.
It's hard to
mostly.
walk out. No. Marriage in particular is more difficult to walk out of than we are co-parenting, we are coexisting, Marriage in particular is hard to walk out of because there's so many elements to it, and there are so many people you have to go and talk to try and convince them that you know that idea is not working. That's why it takes a long time for people. One of the reasons why it takes a long time for people to walk out of a marriage is also part of that, because they're having to gather their team to support them in their decision. So I don't subscribe to having kids outside of marriage. I don't subscribe to it. I think that the family unit and the marriage is almost essential to bringing up children that are somewhat balanced. Yeah.
Is that what you grew up seeing? Is that the type of household
I
you
didn't
grew
grow
up?
up in a two-parent household.
Okay.
But then I grew up with two parents that were very committed and very loving. So
To the marriage or to you?
to us, the kids, yes. So even though I didn't have, and I wish I did. I wish I grew up in a house where my parents were both in.
Are you sure?
Oh yes, I do.
Maybe you wouldn't have turned out the way you are now.
I would have turned out more, and
Are
I'll
you
probably
sure?
be better protected in life.
Well, I guess you never know.
Yeah, growing up, my life was very carefree, so it's God and common sense that saved me. My life was I was very free.
So you think people who have that sort of freedom can end up, bad?
Yeah, there were situations that in hindsight I shouldn't have been in. And just by grace of God, it didn't go south. But there were situations that in hindsight I shouldn't have been in. And I felt like I definitely know that if my father was in the house, I wouldn't have found myself in those situations. Yes.
What's your take on polygamy, especially from a Muslim woman? I'd like to know.
I think that to each his own.
Okay.
And I think that in every relationship, defining what the relationship is very important for all parties involved. And sticking to those terms that you set as the background for your relationship and building off that is very important. So to each his own. If someone feels like again, also because of background and where they come from and what they're able to, their understanding of polygamy is very, people's perception of polygamy is very different, and their understanding of it is very different. And that's how you see that someone has multiple wives, multiple children, they seem cohesive or something, and someone can't comprehend how that is possible. So I think that it's a very individual thing. Personally, I don't subscribe to it because I think that the nuances to it could be very difficult. Because even when it seems like it's fine, wait till the man dies. The family that seemed like it was one and it was close and it was
even the nuclear family.
Even when it's nuclear, exactly, it could be a mess.
Yeah.
So imagine that you have multiple women, and the things that when you have multiple women that have multiple children, you have children with, their upbringing is very different, and they're and they can become competitive. Like they can be competing amongst each other or against each other. It could be a very toxic space, as opposed to having your kids under one roof in one place, and you guys can together decide on how you're bringing up your children and having one voice.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Interesting. Anyway, any final thoughts? Khadija,
Anything you want to talk about?
anything you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? I think that I'm very excited for the next chapter of my life. I believe that there's a lot more that I'm to be doing. I'm going to be doing more in terms of building outside of the spaces that I have already built, and trying as much as possible to impact a lot more people. I'm working on my patience level, so maybe someone will test me and then we'll see how it's going. But I'm hoping that I can interact with more young people, help them to find themselves, find their voices, and try to build a better world.
So yeah, one thing. Have you had any major problems as a woman in the industry that's in the music and the manufacturing? People trying to sleep with you, to like all those.
Me mom, they're trying to sleep with me is hard.
It's hard, eh?
It's hard. Yeah, you know, it's hard.
Okay.
And it's hard because of the way I position myself and I carry myself. So it's just the way that I am. So I've been, if they are trying to, it's in their head. They are not able to actually say it. And the ones that try to say it, they say like they are joking. So they are not, you know, they are trying to see a fan, so you know, I didn't really say it. So those ones, they don't count. But with regards to challenges, being a woman in the space, yes, I've had people try to talk down at me.
Undermine you.
Try to undermine me. Oh, a lot of that. Try to undermine me, a lot of that. But there were times that I used to react when I was younger. I used to react, but in recent times, I've come to I don't care. Like, I don't care what you think about me. I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what I've done. So I'm not coming to prove to you. So I don't care.
On 100.
Yes, I cannot be bothered. So. And in manufacturing, I'm blessed. I have a male partner, so, and he's well-rounded. He's a better human being than me, hands down. So he knows how to manage the temperaments better, manage human beings better. People are afraid of me, they go to him. When I can't deal with someone, I say, I can't talk. If I talk to this person, this was going to happen. He manages it well. He makes me look good sometimes.
Shout out to Roland.
Shout out, I'm telling you. So I think I've been very blessed in that situation. Very, very blessed, because it's tough to find a partner that you guys align on a level that, like, I'll be thinking about something, I'll tell him, he'll say, oh, don't worry, I just thought about this. Like, that's how aligned we are on things. And he would come and tell me some crazy thing he wants to do, and I'll say, okay, let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? We'll fail. We'll move on. Yeah. So I've just been blessed in that space. Okay. But I've had instances that people would say, maybe I'm too difficult, I'm too strict, they're afraid of me. Yeah, people panic. People have said they've had panic attacks. Yeah, like they are sleeping and then they jump out of their bed because they heard my voice. They thought I was shouting, I was calling them, or they've done something. Like, serious. Yeah, people have had panic attacks about me.
Don't be small. Though.
It's not small. So their fear is
prayer point.
So, and I'm working on that. I'm working on not putting fear in people, because in this world, I don't think you should be afraid. You should be respected, not feared, in that regard. So I'm working on making sure that people are not afraid of me that much.
People are more comfortable around.
More comfortable around me. I'm trying. It's not an easy thing for people like me, because I'm not very. I say I'm an outspoken introvert. Yeah.
Outspoken introvert.
I can't be bothered about being around people. So I'm only around the people I need to be around. I only do the things I absolutely need to do. I'm only at places that I absolutely need to be at. So sometimes it creates this aura of mystique, and yeah, but I'm trying to get people to be more relaxed around me.
So you've done a lot of amazing things. Have you failed before? Have you had any major setback? Has there been any point that you felt like, have you given up before?
Oh, I'm about to. I haven't done it, but I'm sure by the time this one airs, I would have.
I see.
I'm about to. I haven't given up before, but I won't call it giving up. It's not giving up. It's I've moved on. So one thing about me is that I know how to give myself time to do something. So even like in any type of relationship, I give myself time and I give myself 110% in that relationship. Whatever, I give myself time and I say, you know what? Okay, I've done my time on this thing and I can move on. Like for example, I managed Shaker for almost 5 years and I did the time. People have asked me, oh, did you regret it? Did you work? I said, no. It was the time I dedicated to doing that and I did it. And I'm grateful for the time and for the things we achieved in that time. And I'm able to move away from it. I worked at Universal Music. I did the time that I wanted to dedicate to it. I moved away from it. I worked at Blue Skies. At the time I was at Blue Skies, Marks and Spencer was the biggest retail that Blue Skies was going to be in. So there was a whole new audit style. There was a lot of work that was happening and I was working on it. As soon as I finished that work, the next day I put in my leave. When I came back, I put in my resignation. I was done because I felt I had done what I wanted to do there and I was ready to move. So I don't give up. I close. I finish. I tidy everything up. I close up and I move on. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Khadija, thank you very much. Man.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So, Ed, do you have any questions?
Advice for the young ladies out there.
They shouldn't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Just do it. Two things will happen. You either succeed or you'd realize that it's not meant for you. And when you realize it's not meant for you, you can go and do something else. It's allowed.
Make it hard for the niggas out there.
Competition, man.
Nah, just joking.
All right.